All right, before I get started, I just wanted to let the hierarchy know that this will be my last training. I'm actually quitting Primerica. Just kidding. Anyways, what a training Jen did, man. I the three things. Huh?
Terminated.
That too.
What do you think would actually happen if you did that?
How much do you actually know about your company and your product? Yeah, so like that was one thing I took down from that is that like you got to know your stories, man. One really good way, even for what I'm about to go over, is your voice memos. Like, check this out.
Today I want 40,000. I have 30,000 in there. I want 30 grand. Send me the money.
That's Shaq talking about how to do a 401k rollover in December of 2018. I have a bunch of those in my phone and in my car. I just replay them again and again and again until I got it. Like, take a bunch of notes, record a bunch of stuff, and then like don't be bored with the fundamentals. Like, don't be bored with the fundamentals. And I think one of the biggest fundamentals to learn is how to prospect. So I titled this Prospect to Prosper because like without mastering the art of prospecting, you cannot achieve your goals in business. Without mastering the art of prospecting, like there's your goals, and then there's the distance between you getting to mastery level on this skill, and like the better you get, and the more often you do it, the more you bridge that gap. You have to master the art of prospecting, right? How many of you guys, when Samir said earlier at the beginning, how many, raise your hand if you believe you could make 6 figures a year in this company? Okay, how about keep your hand raised if you think you personally can make 6 figures a month, like he said. Okay, raise your hand if you got at least 70 prospects, new prospects last week. You don't believe, right? Somebody did that in a training the other day. I liked it. So you don't believe because like there's dreams and wishes, and the difference between a dream and a wish is work. The difference between a dream and a wish is work. So what is prospecting? I put a picture of these guys back in the 1800s. It says, the gold rush was the largest mass migration in the U.S. history. In March of 1848, there was 157,000 in California. 150,000 of them were Native Americans, and the rest of them were Spanish or Mexican descent. Okay, 20 months later, from 1848, there was a massive influx of settlers, and the non-native population soared to over 100,000. And by the 1850s, 2 years later, there was 300,000. What were they all moving there for? In search of gold. So prospecting is the search of gold. That's what it is. And it says you got to look under every rock and persist until you succeed. Have you tossed over every rock? Claudia, we made an original list, and then like a week later, she's like, ding dong, I forgot my friend Kelly. And it's like, there's so many rocks that you haven't tossed over that you think you have, and we're gonna go over some of those today. So the mindset behind prospecting is the engine of your business, and it's like the flicker to a domino effect, right? So Samir walks into actually, can you chime in and tell this story of Home Depot and what it led to? You walk into Home Depot, prospect a 22-year-old kid, and
Yeah, I walked into a Home Depot, I prospected a 18-year-old kid. He was working in the lumber department. And I recruited him, and many years later, that's why Sheila is here today.
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
10
So
years
that
after I recruited him, actually.
years, what a domino effect. But that doesn't happen without him deciding to prospect, deciding to search for gold, deciding to walk into a Home Depot. Right? Prospecting is having a conversation with a purpose. The guy walks up to the girl in the mall like, "What's your sign? Can I have your number?" He's having a conversation with a purpose, right? Or the guy walks into the Home Depot and says, "Do you like what you do? How long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this? Would you consider something else?" Like, that's having a conversation with a purpose. Prospecting is necessary. Like, I wish I could like double capitalize that. Prospecting is necessary. If you don't prospect, you will not win. I can't emphasize that enough. You must do it daily and you must do it often. You must do it daily and often. And I learned this from Bruce, that you got to be a vacuum cleaner for contacts. I heard him say that in our double-digit recruiting university once. You just gotta like suck up a whole bunch of contacts from every resource that you possibly can every single day. And then the last one is 10 numbers a day, 10 new contacts a day keeps the jobs away. That's why I asked how many of you guys got 70 new contacts last week. Because 10 new contacts a day keeps the jobs away, right? One of the things I learned on a trip, one of the first trips I ever went on, the #1 new RVP that year, Mike, right? He was like, prospecting. Let's assume attendance is the first one. It's just you showing up. Leads to prospecting, leads to recruiting, leads to licensing, leads to premium, which leads to cash flow, and no, I'm missing one. Promotions and you making more money. That's another domino effect, right? So what do I say when I'm prospecting? It's less about what you say and more about what you ask. You've got to become an asshole. Right? It's more about what you ask than what you say. It says the answers are in the questions. Never forgot that. The answers are in the questions. So I got 4 questions here in sequential order. Don't ask them out of order. Otherwise, it won't have the same impact. It's in our script, our Steam phone call script, but I just took that one excerpt from the script and just used it in all of my daily interactions, right? So, Jeff, role play with me. Let's say I see Jeff in a Walmart, and as I'm exiting the Walmart, I see Jeff's a freaking stud. Look at him head to toe. He should be a regional vice president here. I walk up to him. I ask him, "Excuse me, buddy, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm actually headed out in a rush. I had to ask really quick, what do you do for work now?"
I'm an engineer.
An engineer? Okay. How long have you been doing that?
About 5 years.
5 years? Okay. Is that something you enjoy doing? Do you see yourself doing that long term?
I do enjoy it, maybe not long term.
You do?
I
Okay.
wish I got paid a bit more.
Oh, how about that? Well, the only reason I'm asking, like I said, I got to run, is that I run a business down the street and I'm expanding. I'm hiring for some new talent. I just wanted to see if you ever keep your options open for anything additional or like alternative, possibly, if it were flexible enough and the money were right.
Yeah, I'm open to consideration.
You would? Okay. Let me text you my number. What's your number?
540 222-7777.
And then Jeff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Josh Perez. Awesome. Hey, man, it was a pleasure to meet you. I'll give you a call. I just had to run. I had to ask. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
See you.
thank you.
Okay. Good. How long did that take? A minute? Okay. And then you zip it and you move it along, right? So by the way,
Why did you say zip it?
because
Because what you used to do.
I used to be like, really? You keep your options open? Boy, do I have an opportunity for you. I run this recruiting like empire down the street, and it's like it's with this company Prime America, and it's got like it's the largest financial firm in the intergalactic galaxy. Right? Matter of fact, you got some time? You want us to kind of get some coffee? Like you zip it because you just don't want to interview them right there. You set an appointment for another day, right? So if you just stuck to that and kept it simple, you could become a regional vice president in the next 18 months. I swear it. But it's every single day, 7 days a week, right? There's a guy, Andy Young, in our company that he's a $1.4 million earner. And so basically, long story short, one time he took 2 weeks out of his career and he went out and he got 700 new contacts. That was when there was no cell phones or social media. 700 new contacts, like 30 a day, right? So are you saving? These are other questions you could ask to your warm market on social media in conversations. I'm going to go through them really fast. Number one, are you saving all that you possibly can? Have you ever thought of being your own boss instead of having a boss? If I could show you a faster way to retirement, would you want to learn? If I could show you how to double your income in the same time, would you want to learn? Are you money motivated? Have you ever worked 2 jobs before? That's a really good question. I got that from Bruce. He says that if someone has worked or is working 2 jobs, it just indicates they're money motivated, right? Do you know what passive income is? I asked that to my sister, my younger sister the other day. She's 17. She never heard what passive income is ever in her whole life. Have you ever earned it? If you have heard of it, right? What has stopped you in the past from becoming a business owner? Time, money, fear. If I could solve all of those, would you go into business with me? Do you know the 4 ways that you can make money? Can I show you really fast? Napkin presentation, cash flow quadrant. How important is it to you to have multiple streams of income? Oh, wow. How many do you have now? Do you know why profits are better than wages? Can I show you really quick? Napkin presentation. Do you know what? This is stuff you could do with your coworkers if you have a full-time job, and this is your part-time, right? Do you know what the highest paying industry in the world is? Hey, are you from the area? You know, if you just met somebody brand new, that's good because you're kind of sizing up their warm market. No, I'm not from the area. I just moved here 6 months ago. Okay. Have you ever been in management before? How much would you need per year to live your dream life? Have you ever thought of that? Will your current job ever pay you that? Do you know the difference between due income versus did income? Have you ever heard of a perpetual money machine? These are just questions that I thought of off the top of my head, right? And then lastly are the different types of prospecting, okay? First is your warm market, right? We've got a new person coming in. We don't want to teach them to go up to Jeff in Walmart, right? We want to teach them to speak to their immediate circle, people that like and trust them, like and trust, like and trust, like and trust, like and trust, right? Then beyond that is your extended market. We might call that lukewarm market, right? These are folks that they know of you, you know of them, but you don't talk to them every single day. Then there's the cold market, and in particular, social media, right? Then there's the new recruits warm market. If I do recruit Jeff, Jeff brings with him a cell phone with 500 contacts inside of it, right? And then there's referrals from clients. I just recruited someone yesterday that I got a client last week. He gave me 5 referrals. I sat down with one of them, and then I recruited the client, the referral from the client yesterday, right? And then there's face-to-face prospects. And then finally, track your progress. I think this is a healthy conversation for all of us to have going into the second quarter of 2023. You guys know it's over the first quarter, basically in 2 days, right? So what a great time to print out one of these. This right here is called a trend track. This is my trend track. Before training, I went into my POL and I printed it out. If you don't know, Primerica, what you pay, POL, what you pay $25 a month for, tracks all your progress all year long, every single month. And you can cross compare Q1 to Q4 of last year or Q1 of last year as well. You got to print it out and look at it, right? Another thing is you go get 70 prospects this week. By the way, what a great thing to start this week. Go get 70 contacts this week. Track it in the CRM. Our software that we use is called Level Up. Ask your trainer about it. It's amazing. The fortune is in the follow-up. Don't just get the numbers and don't call them. Get the numbers and call them multiple times until they answer. Learn how to describe briefly what you do. Briefly, don't do what I used to do, right? Briefly describe what we do, and then remain consistent and persistent. So I started this with the gold rush, right? I want to end it with a story from Think and Grow Rich on prospecting. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. So an uncle of R.U. Darby was caught by the gold fever in the gold rush days and went west to dig and grow rich. He had never heard that more gold has been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from the earth. He staked a claim and went to work with a pick and shovel. The going was hard, but his lust for gold was definite. After weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovering of a shining ore. He needed machinery to bring the ore to the surface. Quietly, he covered up the mine, retraced his footsteps to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland. Told his relatives and a few neighbors of the strike. They got their money together for the machinery and had it shipped. The uncle and Darby went back to work on the mine. The first car of the ore was mined and shipped to a smelter. The returns proved that they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that and they would clear out their debts completely. Then they would make a killing on the profits. Down went the drills, up went the hopes of Darby and the uncle. Then something happened. The vein of the gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of the gold was no longer there. They kept drilling on, and they did not prevail. Finally, they decided to quit. They sold the machinery to the junk man for a few $100s and took the train back home. Some junk men are dumb, but not this one. He called a mining engineer to come and look at the mine and do a little calculating. The engineer advised that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. His calculations showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling. That is exactly where it was found. The junk man took home millions of dollars in the ore from the mine because he knew enough to seek expert counsel before giving up. That's for me, that's Samir, to me, right? Most of the money which went into machinery, blah, 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 blah. Basically, the long story short is the guy who quit he heard about the junk man who made millions, and it hurt him. But he turned it into a lesson, and he became one of the best insurance sales folks ever to live, right? Like 100 or 200 sales a month just by himself or something like that. My point is, in that story, if you're making a decision to become a recruiter and become a regional vice president and a prospector, understand you're going to go through some adversity. Folks are going to tell you no, right? Don't quit 3 feet from gold. Keep going and become a prospector.